Oh, Lord have mercy. Welcome into the Big Orange Postgame Reaction Show here on the A to Z Sports Streaming Network. Goodness, what a disaster down there in Arkansas. The final score, 24, the Razorbacks, 13, the Vols. Jonathan Crompton, Buck Rising in this evening to fill in as you guys pile in very, very quickly to react to a catastrophe, an utter football debauchery down there in Arkansas tonight. We're going to take your reactions. We're going to talk about Jeremy Pruitt, Jarrett Garantano, Harrison Bailey, Brian Maurer, and everything that was. Cromp, before I tell the people to share the show, how you feeling, buddy? How we doing? How we doing?
You know what? Screw it. Hey, watch this. Let's just talk about which quarterback's arms had the better tattoos. I got tattoos, so that's more interesting than the damn game.
I mean, this game.
Let's just call it like it is. Let's find something fun to talk about because this was not fun.
No,
I mean this was just bad. In all ways.
I don't know if you were wiping away just out of tiredness or a tear from your eye. I don't know what that was.
Honestly, at this point, I mean, I know that, you know what? At least we can say how we feel. Man, I could have been at home laying in my comfortable bed and just hanging out with my wife and our dogs and felt much better than watching this game.
Yeah.
That's just how bad this was in all around every aspect.
Yeah, it was an absolute embarrassment. There is a ton of people in here. While you guys are piling in on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch TV, welcome into the live post-game reaction show, the Big Orange post-game reaction show. Share this show around on Facebook Live, bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You share now to public. There's 1,000 of you guys, and more of you are piling in on every second. Retweet the show on Periscope. We love to see all of you. We're going to get everything going here officially now. Welcome into the live Vols Big Orange post-game reaction show. I don't know if Jonathan Crompton, former Vols QB, has bourbon in that coffee, but God knows he's going to need something by the
honestly,
end of the
it is a pumpkin. It's a pumpkin flavored coffee, and normally I would put a little cream in this one to give it intensify the flavor. It's straight black right now. I'm drinking coffee at 10:42 p.m. Eastern time to talk about how bad this was tonight. That should say something.
As bitter as the Vols defeat. We are proud, as always, to be presented to you by Ashbusters Chimney Service. Ashbusters.net is where you go. BioPure of Music City, 615-635-0555, BioPureService.com. All right, let's get right to it, Crump. One word to describe the Vols' loss at Arkansas after everything we saw. Jarrett Garantano gets bounced in the third quarter with a head injury. Brian Maurer comes in the game. Everybody's freaking out because they think it's a Pruitt decision just to pull Jarrett Garantano. 24 unanswered points. The Vols head scoreless. I leave it at your feet.
Atrocious. I got nothing else. I don't know. I was sitting here trying to think of words. I was asking my wife, what is one word that, because she knows me better than anybody, of what I would think of. And I mean, that atrocious. We played well in the first half. I mean, I wouldn't say it was phenomenal, but we executed our game plan. I don't know what the hell we did in the second half. I don't know what any of that was. I'm going to just read this comment real quick because it came in a few minutes ago and said this question is for Crompton. If you see a corner play 8 yards off the ball, why wouldn't we run quick slants when the middle field's wide open? That's a good question because everybody does it to us. Everybody. Like I text you, we stopped a slant route. I text Austin, we stopped a slant route. Instantly, I had to send that back to Austin and say, I take that back. Like as I clicked send, I literally instantly wrote, I take it back.
I mean,
because then there was three more slant routes on that drive, one for a touchdown. That's how we started the second half, and it just all around just bad.
And it devolved from there. They did exactly what we talked about at halftime. They figured out that the entire offense was handing the ball off to Eric Gray. After Garantano got removed from the game, Maurer could do nothing through the air, looked absolutely helpless
in
a way that made me feel
let's touch
bad
on that real fast. And I want to touch on that because I feel bad because as soon as I got off the plane, he found out that his grandfather passed. So this was just pour salt on the freaking wound for the kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not even going to talk about anything for him because it takes – I mean, everybody's mental state is different. You know, I know everybody always says, oh, Brett Favre did this when his father passed. That's Brett Favre. Not every human being is the same. So – and we don't know his relationship with his grandfather. And we know all this stuff that he has came out publicly and said this offseason of his own mental state.
Yeah.
So for me, if it's me and I'm the coach, when I find that out, I'm going to go to him and say, hey, man, this is bigger than football. Do you want to dress tonight? Screw the game. Do you want to dress because you're the number 2? There's a chance that you have to play. Are you okay to play? Because I don't want to screw anything up with your mental state in your life because you are a young man. So I feel completely awful for him, even having to step on the field tonight, understanding, and God willing, I have never understood that feeling of what he just had to go through. So, I mean, prayers go out to him because, I mean, that's tough. And then getting thrown right into the fire of coming in when we're down and can't stop anybody on defense and couldn't move the ball on offense. So I feel like he was just unfortunately put in a really bad position right out of the gate.
Oh, and it just snowballed from there in a way that was completely and utterly it almost felt unavoidable. 2nd and 8, says Chad Angel. The Vols, Charlie Ark just says in dismay, but great win for your Hoosiers, says Jeff Rubelman. There is nothing.
There is hope.
Who'd have thought? Tennessee a basketball school and the Indiana Hoosiers a football school.
You know what?
Year of our Lord.
I'm done.
Philip Clinic says this team is a freaking disaster. Fire them all. We'll talk about the coaching staff because normally you guys on this postgame show, you grade the performance of JG. Tonight, JG got bounced in the 3rd quarter with a head injury. So instead, we're going to later on in this show grade Jeremy Pruitt and the performance of this coaching staff because I'm sure a lot of people have strong opinions on it. Meantime, we're taking your one word to describe the Vols' loss at Arkansas. Crompton says it's atrocious. Just freaking horrible, says Michael Hughes. Dumpster fire. You guys are cheating. You're using more than one word, but it's okay. You're probably distressed.
Hey, it's 2020, man. We're good.
Michael Hughes, embarrassed. Matthew Chappell, ass whooping. I watch of the team. TR Bro says I watch Oregon football for entertainment now. I mean, the list rolls on and on and on. So without getting too much into the coaching element of it, because I want to save that for a later segment, I guess my one word, Crompton, if yours is atrocious, mine is inept. I mean, it does not seem like anything that they are capable of doing, or they do not seem capable of doing anything to stop the leak once things start to compile on them. When we have seen Jeremy Pruitt over the course of his tenure as the Tennessee Volunteers head coach be able to do some things, be able to coach guys up, be able to stabilize the program or the team or the players a little bit as things kind of spiraled out of control like they did last year at the start of the season. And then you kind of feel better about the way that they're able to build upon those failings. But ineptitude is what I witnessed from this team here this evening. And again, it is not I always feel very, very strongly about this. I'm not going to come out and just bury college athletes. I think that's a wrong approach for anybody in this business, and it would not be me. But the people who are responsible for getting these people ready to play, the people who are supposed to put them in the positions to execute, to not look like they did, which is completely flailing in the second half of that football game, inept is the word that I would use, Crompton. What say you?
No, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, and especially right there at the last where these are college kids. Everybody can argue about, oh, they're this and they're that and blah, blah, blah. I had a job when I was this age, all that stuff. Kudos. And I say that in all sincerity. But when you're dealing with, and most of the times, not fully mature, because everybody's different. Young men, keyword young.
Yeah.
It's football is a game of testosterone fueled men going head to head. All right. I know I said in the first half, it's a game of copycat where you can steal this from this team and kind of put your own wrinkle, blah, blah, blah. We're not doing any of that.
None.
Everybody does it. Literally, when you're game planning for somebody and such worked against them, you bring it into your offense and, if you think it can work and you put a wrinkle on it. I haven't seen any of this. Our coaching staff, I know we'll talk about this here in just a little bit. I've said it for I don't know how many weeks in a row now. We apparently just don't know how to develop at a lot of positions. And even if we just want to take the development side out of it, that's fine. We apparently don't know how to fire these guys up. I know you got to have some intestinal fortitude about you. You got to have some, what you can call it a lot of things, internal fire or whatever. You still got to have that, but you also got to have a coach that can bring that out in you.
Yes.
And what I see, and when I keep watching, when our quarterbacks come off the sideline, even with the mask, you can tell facial expressions. It's almost like Winky is looking like a deer in headlights when they're coming off the field about what to say to these quarterbacks. You know what I mean? If you're a coach and you have a loss at words, I'm losing my words right now going, what the hell do I say? In that sense, because that's not a good thing.
Oh,
the
no,
coach should know what to say because you're on the sideline or you're in the press box. You got to be able to help these kids. That's why you're a coach. That's why you're getting paid hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to coach these kids, develop them. We're obviously not doing that.
Oh, and you want to, what they're paid to do. This is one of the highest paid staffs in college football, much less the SEC. It is
exactly.
It's ineptitude. It's atrocious. It's helplessness to a degree where we are in these positions. And we talked about the things that Brian Maurer has had to go through this evening. And of course, I mean, it is a very, very difficult position, and it's amplified because he did not play obviously very well. That is unavoidable at a certain point, but without burying the kid for everything that he's gone through, a good coaching staff would recognize that a player may be emotionally compromised. Maybe that the situation is bad enough or the situation is serious enough that it is time to show the freshman quarterback some live game reps. He's seen live game reps, obviously, throughout different points in this season so far, but to put Harrison Bailey in the spot that he did, we'll talk about that more. I don't want to blow everything that we have to discuss, even though we're emotional. Everybody's emotional right now.
Well, we can talk about that for an hour. Let's call it like it is.
There's not enough time in the world. We're going to continue to take your one word to describe the loss at Arkansas here on the A to Z Sports Big Orange post-game show. Jonathan Crompton, Buck Rising filling in this evening. First, quickly, I'm going to tell you about our friends at BioPure Music City. That's where you go to keep your crew protected from the flu with BioPure Music City. To have BioPure disinfect your home or business, call 615-635-0555. They're EPA registered to kill the coronavirus and the flu. There will be zero residue left behind with the quick electrostatic spray that they utilize, safe for your electronics and your pets. Check them out at biopure.com. BioPure, changing the standard of clean. I'm sure there are some standards that need to be changed in Knoxville at this point, Crompton. Let's read a few comments from the people. Anything stand out that you've read?
I've been reading a few of them. I mean, but the thing is, I'm laughing by saying none of these are off base at all.
No.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, I get a kick out of this one. Does anyone have Hugh Freeze's phone number? Hey, you know what?
It's only a matter of time before that started.
It's something. I mean, it's hard to just pick any of them out. They're all pretty much the same in the sense of everybody's in agreement now, and I'm not gonna, screw it. Me personally, I'm going to actually say this for the first time live and say, man, hey, we need a whole new staff. We need something. We got to have some sort of change. We're going to change, and it's going to be the D-line.
Yeah.
When we can't put up points, We can't develop anybody on offense. We got these explosive players, blah, blah, blah. We can't do anything with it. At a certain point, it is a game of production. What have you done for me lately? Obviously, not a lot.
Nothing.
And so my thing is, who Buck, if it's you, who do you bring in?
Oh.
You know, I know this is hypothetical, but at some point, this has got to be a real life conversation that somebody's got to be having. You gave him an extension, great. And now this is a crap load of money and $400,000, but it's only in college sports, only $400,000. You know what I mean?
But the thing that I would say to you, Crompton, is this year complicates that so much with the way that COVID is going to affect the financials of these athletic departments, not just from the standpoint that you're not going to be willing to eat those salaries that you've committed your financials to. Not only that, but other schools, I think, are going to be reticent to fire their coaches who they might otherwise part ways with in a normal year. This is what makes this so much harder. It's that
it does.
COVID-19 and the direct impact that it will have, that it has had on college football. And I mean, fine. I mean, we're talking about the NFL getting ready to lose billions of dollars at the end of the season just because they can't let full attendance into the stadiums. College football, and specifically the position that the Vols are in, because I did not understand it when they gave Jeremy Pruitt the extension. I know that this is something that they're not worth the paper that they're drawn up on, but this is a different situation. This is a completely different time. So and I want to clarify before we move on to talk about Jeremy Pruitt, because I mean, we're going to have to grade him coming up next. And by the way, weigh in with your grades for this coaching staff on Facebook Live, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. We welcome your comments here on the Big Orange Postgame Reaction Show with Jonathan Crompton, Buck Rising filling in this week for Austin Stanley. Does it start at the top for you? Are you saying that Jeremy Pruitt is a part of these wholesale changes that you're mentioning?
You asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I say it that way because this is no different than a Fortune 500 company. It starts at the top. You can't just go in and blame the cleaning crew. You know what I mean? If you're trying to build something, and I know it's an unfortunate thing, but it's harsh reality when you're dealing with, especially this much money. You know what? If you at the end of the day, I'm seeing these comments about, because COVID is obviously, I'm not using the word excuse because it's reality, but at the end of the day, it's a reality that every team is having to deal with. But guess what? Then don't give somebody an extension during COVID.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I said, me and Austin talked about it. We knew what it was about. It was all for recruiting. But you know what? Don't put yourself in that situation then. Wait until after COVID and then just tell them, hey, we're going to come to an extension between us, the university and your agent. We've got this done. We're going to wait till after COVID and we'll back pay your money or something. We'll give you an extra year or something. But don't do it during this time if this was a possibility as an outcome. Well, this obviously is reality now. So in the sense of, we got to get something, and, it's a fine line when you're dealing with Tennessee in the sense of it's just like a Michigan, or an Alabama. It's such a storied, rich tradition that you want somebody that has something to do with the program in the past, right? Because of the tradition. Well, in today's times, this is where there's that fine line to walk. What do? Do you try to bring somebody that has some sort of history with the program and bring in those types of people? Or do you just say, screw it, we're going to start anew and bring in a new generation like a lot of these other places do, and just say, we're going to start our own tradition now, rely on the past, but have a complete fresh start with nobody over my shoulder saying, well, this is what we used to do. This is what we used to do. So I don't know what the right answer is on that, because it's a fine line. But I'm by all means, I'll start at the top. We got to do something. I mean, one of my dad's best friends is a sports writer, and he's a big Michigan guy. We're talking about Michigan today.
Yeah.
In my opinion, man, Harbaugh's got to go.
Victory.
No, exactly. No, in my opinion, your guys just solidified a Harbaugh's fate. Are they going to do it? I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, Sarkisian, I'm going after. Lincoln Riley, what do you want, bud? How much do you want? Come on. Yeah. I guarantee you give him enough. He will leave Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Because he knows in Oklahoma, yeah, he's going to win in the Big 12. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. But at the end of the day, he knows he's not going to be able to get the defensive guys in there to win in the playoffs.
He knows what their ceiling is. He of course knows what their ceiling is.
So you give him enough money at a Michigan or a Tennessee or an Alabama, and he's gone in a heartbeat. He doesn't want to go to the NFL. He's a college guy. So what point do we start saying we want to go get those guys? Sarkisian even came out last week and said, man, I can't wait to be head coach again.
And he's turning down jobs already. The rehabilitation of Steve Sarkisian is something that I find interesting. But your point is well taken.
I mean, that's my that's an opinion. I know not everybody's going to agree with it, but you know what? That's the beauty of it. We're all entitled to our own opinion. I think tonight, with the big fat F that is given, that's just where I would go. And I'm not saying necessarily tonight, but if I'm in the meetings, we all know what happens all behind closed doors, and so-and-so is going to send out a filler here, and so-and-so is going to send out a filler there. I'm starting to send out, let's start send out some fillers, see if somebody's willing to leave. And I never thought I would even say these words, and I would hope that this person wouldn't do it. But somebody like an Urban Meyer,
yeah,
I don't think he would fit in at Tennessee, and I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't like it because of his past. I think he's very uncredible. I think he's a horrible human being personally. That's a personal opinion. I wouldn't want him there, but by God, he wins ball games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But somebody with that type of energy and can get people to play well, we got to do something. And that's an opinion, but I think it starts at the top down, and I think we should start having that real conversation.
Safe to say both of our grades here on the Big Orange Postgame Reaction Show are Fs for Jeremy Pruitt, Fs for failure, Fs for flailing, Fs for potentially fired, because Crompton, at this point, they have lost 4 straight. They host Texas A&M, go to Auburn, and Auburn seems to be a little flaky, but what is Tennessee?
They're flaky, but they're better than us right now. Let's just call it like it is. Hey, you know what? I'm not a big fan of defensive head coach, but I'm going to hit this comment real quick from Eric. Maybe Brent Venables.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody like that. I'm not a big defensive guy head coach. Well, what the hell we have now? But that's just an opinion. But still, we got to do something.
Kyle Adams says, why would any coach want to come here? And you've said your piece about the history, the tradition. We've spent a lot of time, you've spent a lot of time on these post-game shows talking about what Tennessee football represents. But to Kyle's point, I mean, nothing they seem to do over the last, at least in my 5 years living in Tennessee and watching this football program, my history with it is much less than yours and many of the people listening to this, watching this, because they have grown up with it. They have gone with their families to games. Season tickets get passed down generationally. It is ingrained in a lot of who people are. But to Kyle Adams' point, if I'm an outsider and I don't have these attachments, and if the money is one thing, right? Tennessee can bankroll the holy hell out of you and whatever coaching staff that you want to bring here, as they've just proven with an incompetent coaching staff, it would seem. So you have the opportunity to do what you want financially, COVID notwithstanding. But to Kyle's point, if I'm looking at this as from an outside perspective, I'm saying, man, I don't know if I want that job. I don't know if I want to go flail around in the SEC. I don't know if I want the expectations that are immediately going to be heaped on me at the University of Tennessee. Now, I'm not a college coach. I'm not a college athlete. I do not, we operate on a different plane. But what I'll say to you is, I don't think Kyle's completely out of whack there, because this is a match.
No, I don't either. But to the point now, going and defending Tennessee is unlimited resources. Top of the line facilities, right? To exactly what you just said, generation to generation to generation, season tickets passed down. The fan base of the camaraderie there. But the thing is, that's where I said you have to teeter that line. It's a fine line. We have people still involved that have been involved in the past, and we're all human. Can't help it. I used to do things this way. We used to do it this way. We're human. That's just what you do.
Yeah.
You can't help it. So if I'm that guy, exactly. So if I'm that guy and you're calling me, I want a White House from top to bottom. Nobody can be involved in the program historically. We're going to start fresh, and we're going to build a new Tennessee, keeping our tradition where it's at. The game maxims will never change, all that stuff. But that's the only way you're going to entice somebody of a Lincoln Riley to come. You know what I mean? Or a Sarkisian to come, and not have somebody in your ear at all times saying, well, hey, look here, do this, do this, do this. Let them do it on their own and understand the fan base can get behind them in a heartbeat.
Right. Deb M. Burton says it's not any one player's fault. It's coming from the top. That's very much what we're discussing, Deb.
Yeah.
Eric says we're in the verge of Vanderbilt-type expectations. Hell, if Derek Mason, the only way I think Derek Mason saves his job is if he can beat Jeremy Pruitt, which, by the way, it's
probably not off the table now.
The Vanderbilt's so bad.
Hey,
right?
You got to understand, though, when we play Vanderbilt,
you play down.
And the expectations of where we're at now, and 4 losses in a row, and A&M and Auburn coming up, man, it's not off the table now. And I hate to say that I ever thought I would say it, especially this year. I mean, it's went down a lot. I mean, just in the past, not even month, with the expectations. Vanderbilt's not off the table anymore, and that's sad.
Yeah. William Burnett out here trolling us, saying hire Gruden, like you guys want that in your lives again. We'll talk a little. Actually, we said, listen, I don't think anybody would go through the Chuck E. Chase anymore, but we have to now move on to what seems like it might be a little bit of a farce at this point, Crom, but it is what you guys do here on the post game show. The Ashbusters, who was on fire today for the Vols versus Arkansas. Give us one person. It could be positive or it could be negative. I think it's gonna trend negative, but we'll take your responses here in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. Pile on in there. Who was on fire today for the Vols, blowing a 13-0 lead at halftime and falling to the Arkansas Razorbacks 24-13. While you guys fill in there with your answers and Compton contemplates how he's going to answer this question, because I'm fascinated to see. I'll tell you about our friends at Ashbusters, chimney sweeping and inspections for your safety. Their fantastic custom masonry work for your home will never disappoint, unlike the Tennessee Volunteers. Before getting cozy with your fireplace this fall, keep your fire in its place with Ashbusters Chimney Service. Ashbusters.net and AshbustersKnoxville.net if you are in the 865, like many of these fine folks viewing at home are. All right, Crompton, I leave it at your feet. Who was on fire today for the Vols?
Well, I'm going to read one thing first, and this is sad when this is a comment.
Yeah.
And this is not my pick. The long snapper.
No.
That's not my pick, but when that's a comment, we know we got an issue. I think I've said enough of the just blatant honesty and the quote unquote negative side, I would say. I'm going to go on the positive side. I've got 2 guys, one on each side of the ball. Obviously, Eric Gray. I mean, the 31 attempts, 123 and a touchdown. I like what he can do. We just got to get some guys around him on offense. I mean, I really like him a lot as a running back, and he's only being a sophomore. And this year, not counting, that's a plus side for us down the road. Got to get a lot of different guys around him as far as talent to help him out. But I like what he's done. And then obviously, I think it's a week in, week out. Henry Toto on defense is always around the ball. And I didn't touch on this in the first half. But early in the game, Arkansas runs a little shovel, right? They designed this thing absolutely beautifully. The center was not athletic enough to get to toe-to-toe. Thank God, or he might still be running.
Yeah.
Those are the plays that he makes for us.
Yeah.
He's a hell of an athlete and a hell of a player, and I love watching him play defense. We need 10 more of those guys on defense in the sense of his intensity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wanted to take this time and go a little positive for us because we do have some players to build around. We just aren't building around them and or building them. You know what I mean? For those guys to elevate their game, we got to have guys in there that can develop their game from the top down. I'm not saying every coach can't do that because I'm not in their meetings. We've obviously seen what a couple of these coaches can do when they're on other staffs. So at the end of the day, certain point, all lines point to one gentleman. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I had to say all that to say that, but I had to go with the positivity with those two guys.
No, I mean, and you want to recognize the guys who did perform well, even for as bad as things looked, right? Because it's not the responsibility of one player to carry a team. And that's what Henry To'oTo'o seems to do too often for that Vols defense. Deb says Bennett and To'oTo'o, and Eric Gray being mentioned. Henry T. B. Hall says is my only hope. Someone has to be on the hot seat, says Chris. Listen, we're trying to keep.
We agree.
We're trying to keep the faith here for the fam here on the post-game show. But I'll tell you what, I think there is so much to be taken from this game, from this season, twisted and deformed, and all of these other things that COVID has done to it. Because this is, of course, not a normal college football season under any circumstance. But at some point, Crompton, we will see accountability on the behalf of this Tennessee coaching staff before we put a bow on these things, because it's whether it be accountability on the person who hired him in Phil Fulmer, or if there's going to be accountability on the people who are responsible for the development and growth of this program. Jeremy,
that's a great question or a great comment you just brought up, and I know that I'll catch a lot of heat for this, but hey, at the end of the day, facts are facts.
Yeah. When
you just hit the nail on the head, and when I was saying the top down, I was kind of insinuating. I didn't want to just blatantly say it, but you're 100% right. The gentleman that hired this guy, at a certain point, what do we do? I'm not the one making these calls. I know what I would do, but I'm not the one writing the checks.
No.
You know what I mean? Because at a certain point, we've got to rebuild. Every year we keep saying, oh, well, we're young. It was always the Butch Jones era. Oh, we're young. Like, how many years can you be freaking young, right? There's always an excuse. And it's, oh, well, now it's, with Fulmer hiring Pruitt, oh, we believe in him, blah, blah, blah. And then it's, oh, we've got these guys, or we're still trying to get these guys in. You know what? At a certain point, and I heard it on TV tonight, you don't want to play a young quarterback because you don't want to put him in there too early and all that stuff. Well, if I pull up this right here, Clemson's at OT with a true freshman quarterback.
And at Notre Dame. At
Notre Dame. Now, obviously, they've got a different caliber team than us, but you're not going to win that argument about a true freshman quarterback with me, saying, well, we shouldn't play him. I know that if he's not mentally there, that's one thing. But don't say I'm not playing him because I want to protect his confidence. Well, that tells me that you either haven't developed him yet, you haven't got enough chance to see him because you won't practice him, or he's just not there. You got to say one of the three. You just have to me. And so there's always an excuse from the top down in this program right now. We got to do something. Otherwise, we're going to keep having these shows week in, week out, and we're just always going to have to bicker because we're not getting any better.
Yeah. We'll end it this way here on the Big Orange post-game reaction show. Jonathan Crompton, kind enough to hang out with me late into the evening to watch what was, I don't even know what to describe it other than embarrassing loss for the Tennessee Vols. What I will say to you, Crompton, is this. What I saw from Jeremy Pruitt and what I continue to hear from Jeremy Pruitt's mouth as it regards Harrison Bailey is it's coaching scared. It's coaching from a place of lacking confidence. It's coaching from a place of lack of preparedness. And at some point, we continue to see it show through in games like tonight. But that's all I got for you tonight, buddy. I got nothing else. You drank enough coffee. I don't want to put you through it anymore.
Oh, no, we're good. My coffee's kicked in, if you can't tell. But here's all I'm going to say real quick, because about coaching scared and all this stuff. Okay, you put them in at the end. Well, and for all the people that have hung out for all 34 minutes and who are going to watch this, I wish I would have said this earlier. What a stupid mistake of not kicking a field goal to make it a one score game, and then you're on the 5-yard line with an actual chance to tie the game.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that series with Harrison Bailey. I feel like that's a massive misstep on my part.
Well, no, that's just
God.
That's also this kicking in and just kind of going all over the place. But the thing is, well, let's call it like it is. The kid's young. He's got a hell of an arm. And if I hear Jordan Rodgers say one more time about a kid's arm strength, I'm going to throw some of the TV, because that is the most overrated attribute as a quarterback. You got to know where to throw the ball and when to throw the ball and why you're throwing it, not just say I can throw it hard. So what I saw as a young quarterback in the game, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because at least he was making smart decisions. But when you're down and you're trying to prove that you need to play, why are you checking it down to the running back without taking a second hitch?
Every
1,
time.
2, 3, running back. 1, 2, 3, run. Now, we move down the field, but all I'm getting at is if you watch it from a wide view, schematically, there are more guys open. You have to, in the SEC, you've got to make tight window throws. You have to. And if you don't, then obviously you're not going to succeed. But what that tells me is the lack of preparation on not necessarily just him, because he's on the third string guy, all this stuff. I don't know if that's how he's thinking, but it kind of looked that way tonight. And the fact that the coaches aren't developing their guys to understand what we're thinking schematically. Just straight up. He had a guy on the left hash right down the seam in the end zone, and he's looking to the right. Not blaming him. Just saying, if we're running 4 verticals and you got a single high set, your coach should teach you to go away from the safety. Safety went right, you throw left. Very simple. Didn't happen tonight. Those things, and that's where it all comes back together. We're not developing anybody.
Right. I mean, it's glaring and obvious, just as this loss was for how much further, it seems, perpetually, the Tennessee Volunteers as a program have to go. Cromp, you've been great. I hope we haven't jacked you up for your sake and your wife's sake for the rest of the evening.
More so her sake than mine.
I know you got a bunch of dogs at home. Maybe they burn off some energy for you. But it's been fun to hang out, buddy. We don't get to do it often enough, and I don't know how often I'll be filling in here for Austin Stanley. But, I wish the result, at least if not the result, the game could have been a little better played for us to discuss. But we appreciate everybody for hanging out with Crompton and myself this evening. They will be back again doing it next Saturday when the Tennessee Volunteers host Texas A&M. We are presented, as always, support the people that support this show, Ashbusters and BioPure. They will hook you up. Cromp, I will see you on the other side, my brother. It's been a pleasure to hang out, if not to talk about whatever the hell we just watched.
Yeah, it's been fun. Either way. And thanks to all the people that watch and comment, because it's always fun to interact. I know things can get a little crazy sometimes because everybody's emotional with the debacle that we watch. But it's always fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. Well, we'll see. We'll see how much more fun it gets in terms of the state of Tennessee and football tomorrow, because I got Titans coverage for you. Hosting the Bears, 8:30 a.m. Titan game day morning. I'll be out on the back patio. I'll be in my bathrobe. I'll have my cup of coffee. We'll roll through it, and hopefully it'll be a little better than whatever the hell it is that we just watched. Crop, I'll see you on the other side. Thanks to everybody for hanging out.